Hey Dane, how you doing, man?
Good, good. I'm excited. Well, I'm always excited when we have good guests, and yeah, like I say before, we're batting 1,000 so far.
Yeah,
I mean,
tonight's one of those ones, Dane, where I can't I don't have the words to explain how tonight what it means to me, right? You know me,
yeah,
I've been playing music for 20 something years, made the connections with our buddies from POD, Chevelle, the list goes on and on. And
yeah,
there's these artists that like artists, where you look at like the cream of the crop, people that artists look to. I think
right.
about this guy coming on, Tim Alexander. I think about Danny Carey. I think about Vinny Colaiuta. And then you could just the
Yeah,
people that set the benchmark for the genre, rock, being a drummer. Tim's obviously got the Stick Academy, got the master class, obviously working with his accelerator program, his days with Primus, Pussifer, early days of Perfect Circle, and just a
yeah,
million different side projects in between. When you're talking about a true master craftsman of the genre of a drummer, nobody says that
yeah.
better than Tim Alexander, Dane. So I don't even want to waste any time because I've been waiting for weeks to do this to bring on the gentleman himself, Tim Alexander, Herb, as they say. Tim, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, you guys are making a bunch of stuff up here, I think. Come on, I ain't that good.
You're amazing, Tim. All true, man. Everything we
Thank
said,
you, man. That's
yes,
so awesome. Thank you. It
of course,
really,
Tim.
really is nice to hear, for sure.
Yes, sir. Tim,
You
you
know,
left a mark. You've left a mark on me. I've tried to follow you for years, like from the early days of Primus to what you did in the early Perfect Circle stuff to just what you continue to do. I have followed you for years, and I never get bored when I listen to you. I learn something new every time. So, Tim, we've got some questions. I'm going to jump into it. Dane and I and the audience has cultivated some things. I'm going to take the lead on this. Just jump into it. When you think about your body of work, obviously just spanning generations and continues to just grow at your craft, whether
mhm.
it's working on the early days of Primus, some of your solo stuff. Take me back to when you got the itch to start playing, maybe where you were in life. How old were you? When did you get the bug to start drumming in general? How old were you? You know?
Hmm.
Yeah, so as far as I can have memories, I've always been doing it. And it's, as a kid, you're banging on pots and pans and chairs and whatever. But I as God, what was I in like fifth grade, fourth grade, fifth grade? I would come home and listen to Elvis live at Madison Square Garden. And that's because that was the only 8-track tape that we had at the time. And, 8 tracks were these cassettes you pop
Oh
into
yeah,
a
Oh
machine
yeah.
and it plays. And then in the middle of the song, it just like switches channels, and but I used to come home and listen to that. And I had a pair of drumsticks and I had a couch and I had pillows on the couch and I would make the pillows kind of similar high to low. So low sounds, I would hit the couch and higher sounds, I would hit a pillow or something. And I was just playing along to Ronnie Tutt, the drummer
Okay.
for Elvis at the time. And that was my really first exposure to um, really big rhythms. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but it is some really complex and really driving and
Mhm.
rhythmic. They actually, Elvis would they would have a lot of parts and songs where Ronnie was following his body and doing on the drums what he was doing physically, and just the
Mhm.
drums were just amplifying it. And that's what the power of the drums are. They
Right.
can really make you feel uh, that presence of a person or whatever that emotion you're trying to do.
hmm,
And it's not by just banging out a kick and snare groove.
hmm,
It's the rhythms, it's using
Mhm.
the big drums, it's using the toms, and I throughout my career, I never really mentioned much about it until recently. I started thinking about it. I'm like, holy, like Ronnie was like the first exposure to a big double bass concert
Mhm.
tom kit. Look at any of the pictures.
Yeah.
It's not what you would imagine an Elvis show. It was like big. And I'm really, I wish I knew more about it, about why, like,
Yeah.
why did Elvis want you to have 13 toms and a double bass
Yeah.
kit, or did he even care? Because I bet it was all the rhythmic power that those drums would give, because I saw it twice live. When I was a little kid, I saw it twice, and it's serious. Like,
Yeah.
the people just losing their minds, and the rhythms it was like this jungle tribal, and Elvis is up there going, rah, rah, you know. It
Yeah.
is a weird thing, man, how powerful, you know, a guy on stage moving his body like this, and then the tribal drums. And I, you never really see that. But
Right.
coming from my experience in drumming and looking back, that was my first really impact of rhythmic drumming. And I say that because, you know, as I move forward in life, you know, Neil Peart was my next
Right.
huge big one. And that was more in my teens when I discovered Neil. And that was a combination of more of a a rock, bass drum, snare drum based approach to most rhythms. But you know, he also was very musical and used his toms just super purposely, you know, very purposely, with a lot of intention, where everything he did had a purpose. Because if you listen to his parts, they're leading up to stuff that's about to happen. And that's what the drums are to me, is you're kind of signaling, okay, we're moving, you know, you're moving into this next part. And you can't signal it too big. You
Right.
have to indicate it and still keep the feel, and still keep the dynamic level that you're at. And you know, there's going to be maybe two more in the song. So giving yourself space to go to that next spot, you know. So
Love it.
that's the kind of stuff that's where my head is.
The build up, man. The build up. Again, that's what people think of you. Yeah. The
Because
tease. Yeah.
every song's like a composition. And you know, I in Primus, when I'm sorry, I'm going off track
No,
now,
I
but
love it. Love it.
John
Love it.
Bonham, Stuart Copeland, and and then in my 20s I got exposed to a lot of world music.
Yeah.
And that's when Peter Gabriel was really big, and he started Real World, his label, and he started putting out world records that, you know, we would never hear over here. So he kind of turned me on to a lot of global rhythms, you know. I mean, hand drum
Yeah.
stuff, or you know, Middle Eastern stuff, just amazing rhythms where it's the rhythm is what's moving people, you know. It's the rhythm, and it's more than just a boom cha, a boom boom cha, you know. It's so much more than that. And I wish in the 80s, this was the cool part, when the world beat rhythms were influencing pop music. You would hear them. You would hear it in music. What are those? Oh my gosh, if I could,
You talking about electric drums?
listen to Sirius XM, you know, on the 80s
Yeah.
channel, and you'll hear a lot of, you know, major drumming going on, and just like tom rhythms, and not so much the kick and snare. So I find it interesting that the world music influence, I think, was bringing that aspect to music back then. Then in the 90s, we kind of got into more of, you know, the heavier stuff, the metal, you know, when we started getting popular, we were more of like the kind of the rock,
basic. Yeah.
People called it funk thrash, you know. It was
Yeah.
like we had grooves, Les's bass playing was kind of, you know,
Yeah.
using his thumb a lot, the plucking, and but you know, at the same time, I was coming from that world beat stuff
Hmm.
where I was doing tom rhythms, and I still try to do that today. I try to do it,
I
and
think it's I think it's what you're saying, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but like
no,
and
it's all right.
following you, trying to follow you and watch what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've said this, kind of Danny said at times, different icons. You're making drumming just as much a part of the song. It's not a rhythm, it is a extra instrument. Like think about the bass
Yeah.
players, piano players, what you
Yeah.
do, what you bring to a song. It is not a rhythm, it's an extra instrument. And that's something not a lot of drummers can do. You, Vinny, like I've said,
Right.
the Danny's, the next level, right? So I hear what you're saying. Like it is not just a rhythm; it is a part of the song that you have to have this to complete the song. You know what I mean? Like you make
Yeah,
drumming
absolutely.
part of the song. Dan, go ahead, man, because it's
Well, I was just going to ask, as you were telling me about the different rhythms where you've come from and having to learn to kind of play off your bandmates there, is there doing that, whenever you're making it more, doing your part, is there how you learn the drums and how you learn that world beat and things like that, whenever you integrate it into what your bandmates are doing, is there a different discipline that it takes playing that way as opposed to just okay keeping this rhythm?
it's good.
Well, um, I don't, you know, I don't think it requires anything different. I think
Mhm.
it's the only different thing would be your mindset on what you're
Mhm.
thinking of, and
Mhm.
also does the music allow it?
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, there could be Taylor Swift songs that maybe there's big tom rhythms. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know her albums that well,
Right.
but most of the pop stuff is pretty just kick and snare, and even like no hi-hats, just because they're
Mhm.
all I would imagine, I think they're all mostly just drum machines or
Right,
programming.
right,
Mhm.
And nowadays, they can make them sound really humanized
Yeah.
by not making it so perfect. And
Right.
it's funny, we create machines to do these things, and then we create them to have the ability to not be perfect.
right, right.
So why not just use a person and get rid of the machine if you're trying to
Yeah.
copy a person that's right there, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
But
Spot
anyways,
on.
it's a different process. But yeah, I would, I'm trying to teach more of that mentality.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I would love to hear more of it in me.
Mhm.
I think songs would be like, even pop songs. Like my daughter listens to Ariana Grande, and I like a bunch of her songs. They're really
Mhm.
cool.
Mhm.
Her vibe's pretty interesting. But yeah, I've jammed to it. I played that song Positions,
Yeah.
and I did a my version of it. It's filmed. I haven't released it because I'm pretty sure I'll get in trouble because of the copyright,
Yeah.
I got you. One
if I
day, one day.
posted it, or I don't know, if would I get in trouble if I post it, or
Not if
if
it's
I'm just
live.
trying to make money
Not if
off
it's
of it.
live. I
Huh?
think you're okay. But if it's just live, if you're doing a live take, I think for demonstration, I think you'd be okay. So
Demonstration,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Talking and then
yeah,
play. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
that's a good idea. Maybe I could get around it that
yeah.
way.
Check it out. This is my version of Ariana Grande. It's cool. Rock. Ariana goes rock. I love it.
Yeah,
It's cool.
yeah. And I did it with Odessa too.
Okay. Yeah.
They
Great
do
band.
some really, heavy, really heavy grooves, and I
Yeah.
love those grooves that Odessa does. And but yeah, I can do some stuff on top of it.
Yeah, we
So
know that. We know that about you, man. Your influence is huge, man. And like I said, I don't think there's anything you can't tackle from the body of work. And I think you've already kind of touched on influences a little bit, like the
mhm.
body of influences of who has influenced the mark you've left on the modern drumming world, right? When I think
Yeah.
about style, time signatures, learning to play to you. I can tell you this. I've played Pork Soda probably 4,000 times and just trying to figure out how to follow what you guys do. I watch a lot of your live stuff. the influence you've left on drummers like us. You can't teach what you do. You have to feel it. So I'm curious, man, as we kind of look at influence, right? We call it question 3. I know you've mentioned a little bit of like the Elvis days a little bit. You've mentioned Neil. Has there been maybe an instructor or two as you have influenced us? Who's been a influence personally to you? Like maybe an instructor, someone who took you under their wing to help you make your craft better. You know what I mean?
Man, well, this is the interesting thing. As I was growing up, I didn't know that someone could teach you how to play drums. I didn't know you could do that. I just did it. I would put on a record, and whatever drum set I had at the time was like a snare, and you know, a really like toy snare and bass drum, and the heads are made of paper, you know, and I'd bust through them, and as soon as I hit them, and the I would just do it, you know.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
as I grew and was piecing whatever drum sets I had, pieces I could find, I would try to emulate. So I would look at album covers. I would try to see what their setup looked like. Then I tried to figure out, if I'm right-handed and he's playing a ride cymbal, that must be what he's playing right there. So he's got to hit that. And then the hi-hat's over here. I think he's doing this, because there were no videos back then, you know. There's before MTV. This is before all that, you know. Luckily, Song Remains the Same was out.
Yeah.
In the 70s, Zeppelin. So we all went to go see that, and got to see Bonham playing on film. You know, that was pretty amazing. But that's how I would break it apart. I would just use the audio and try to figure out what he was doing, and if he was going right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, you know, where would the sounds be in that sticking?
I love that.
I always approached everything right, left, right, left. I didn't think about, you know, maybe the left hand was on the hi-hat, you know. And there's a lot of little things that I know now, tricks or whatever, that can still get the same effect, but you know, you can make it interesting by using a different hand on it, you know.
Wow.
So
I
think
you
know, that's
I'm
how I
what
did
you're
it.
saying.
I didn't have a teacher. I'm self-taught.
That's good. Yeah.
And
well,
and so that just goes to why I've just always done it.
That's cool.
I'm self-taught. I've just always done it. It's in there. I don't know why. It's a little bit of a curse. Like, I have to, you know, I have to play, and I can't go get a job if I wanted to, you know, if I needed to. I'd be so miserable, and you know, but that's the thing. Like, yeah, I've just always just figured it out. So I would look up to all these other drummers: Neil, Stewart, Vinny. Another guy was Rayford Griffin, Steve Gadd, Steve Smith. Like, when I started discovering more of the fusion guys, they all impacted me in a different way as well. But I definitely was heavily influenced more by music, like reggae, world beat, rock, folk, all that, and ska, and bands like Police, Zeppelin. So I have a, you know, Rush. I have a whole mess of stuff just moving through my head all the time, and that's kind of how I operate. I'm just pulling from all these little places of things. Like, I might have I don't know, I might be doing something, and then, you know, like 11, you know, the song 11 off of Seas of Cheese, you know, it's this big octobon intro, you know. Mark Brzezicki from Big Country, that's where my head is when I'm doing that. And then we go into the groove and the song, and then it's more of like a heavier rock kick snare, and then I'm thinking also about the hi-hat patterns. Sometimes I keep a steady hi-hat pattern in an even time, but the time in 11 is in 11/8. So it's an odd time. So the hi-hat still keeps going. You know, I have little parts like that happen where it's
Yeah.
just steady machine like. So there's like
Right.
this machine mentality going on, like a drum machine. And I was talking with Steve Smith about this like 15 years ago. This was when podcasts were first starting. I was putting together a radio show for a local station up in Washington. I was building it, and I interviewed Steve Smith over the phone. I set up some weird recording and I lost it all.
Oh man.
But he did the same thing in the 80s with Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah.
That groove he does where it's these weird pattern.
Oh yeah.
So he's emulating a drum machine. He's thinking machine like with these patterns, how one sound could happen every six bars, just like a machine would.
Love
It would
it.
just, yep, that's just going to happen every 6 bars, and this one's going to happen 4, and this is just, and it just never changes. So same thing. I go through that. Only thing for me is I don't keep it consistent, and I don't do it for long. It'll come in and then it'll go away. And that's what I'm realizing doing my Stick Academy and these master classes. And when I'm going live is I'm learning more about myself and how I approach it. And the way I approach it is these little bits of like, there's only like 5 main rudiments that I use. Single, double, some triplets, flams, and what else? What did I say? Single, double, triplet, flam.
Flams.
There's one more. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something
Good
else.
enough. Yeah.
There's something else that I'm missing, but there's only these things. So what makes it magical is how you combine them, when you combine them, and that happens from the minute you start hitting. You know, in a song, you've got 3 to 5 minutes. You could, by applying dynamics too, you can start having these intensities going up and down and up and down and up and down. Volume changes, like on My Name Is Mud. I was just talking about this. My Name Is Mud. The first groove or in the verses, to me, the dynamics are this: boom, boom, ka, boom, boom, ka, boom, a boom, boom, ka, boom, ka.
So hard to follow.
That's
man.
What's going on. My leg is hitting 2 dynamics, a hard and then a little less. Then the snare comes in really hard, and then the kick drum does the same thing, hard, a little softer, and then the last snare beat is not as loud as that first one. I didn't know
it's art. Yeah, you're doing this.
I didn't know I was doing it. I didn't know I was doing
it.
But yeah, it's the feel. It's listening to what Les is doing, you know, the bass. And I'm trying to mimic, I'm trying to copy what he's doing, but I'm also trying to give it its main impact, at the same time, keeping the feel. And so it, you know, changing the dynamics in those notes, not only through the whole song, does it have a loud part, soft parts, you know, and all those happen, but you shrink that into this little 1-bar phrase, boom, boom, boom. So it's like those dynamics are so important, and those are just, all I'm doing is just simple single strokes.
It's funny how, like, I have to expand on this because I've tried to emulate you for over 20 years. I've tried to play that song probably 4,000 times. Like, I'll put it in. And back in the day, it was my Discman when I first started as a teenager. Then I went to my iPod. Now I got on my phone. I love how you're just like, yeah, I just feel it. Like, dude, I've tried to play this song 4,000 times emulating you. It's cool. Dave knows I eat this stuff up, man. When you're talking about you know, flams and triplets, what you're talking about, the technique, the blueprint, the play-by-play, I salivate on that, because what you do, you're feeling rhythm, you're feeling music. So Dane, help me,
Yeah.
because I'll get lost. Dane, help me out with 4, because I'll lose track of time.
Well, I was just going to ask, we'll go to number 4. Is what do you have now that 2024 is here? We're, man, almost through January.
Yeah, already.
What's on the horizon for you for this year with your academy and all your other ventures that you do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now we've got the tour happening with Maynard,
Yep.
Perfect Circle, Pucifer, and Primus, and right now I'm doing just a lot of work on the Stick Academy. I'm filming videos. I'm trying to kind of build my social presence now, because I never did. I thought social media was just like a hangout. I didn't know it was like important, and it really connects with people.
Right.
And now I get it. Now I'm like, oh, okay. It's not, I'm not trying to like get everyone to watch me as much as, hey, let me show you some stuff, know?
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe I can teach. And like I said, it's like, God, I'm learning so much more about myself now, playing wise, because I always get that question about my style. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know. You could probably tell me better what my style is just by, because you can hear it and listen it. And to me, it's all thought.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
But yeah, for this year, it's about building this. I'm going to do the accelerator program, which is 4 weeks of getting together with people like this. We go every week on probably every Saturday, in the afternoon, so it's convenient. And we get together, and it's more one-on-one with me, not one-on-one, sorry. It's more me interacting with everyone, when with the master class, I kind of can't. I kind of only have an hour to kind of just talk about stuff like we're talking about, and demonstrate, show stuff. So, I'm just working on that,
Busy stuff,
making
man.
those available. And I want to have those things available online too, so that people can do it on their own time. I have a beginning course too that I'm putting together just for beginners to understand these concepts early, so they're not trying to learn too many complicated things. That's like, that's really like, it's just not necessary.
Right.
We can play so much music with just a few rudiments. It's just getting those really good, having some exercises that can help you make those better. I think that's what it's all about, man. Just getting those.
I love it. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You got the tour, you got the master class. Like I said, I watch everything. I look for nuggets when you post stuff. I'll be like, Dane, check this out. Like, we'll send it to the show, right? Well, hey, check it out, right? Again, and as far as modern, I say modern because you've been doing this for a while. And you're continued. You, Danny, Brooks Wackerman, Carter Buford. When I think about the people right now that have that you have your thumbprint on music in different categories. That's what I think of. What you're doing, you guys are literally like the OGs right now of modern music, right? So I just thank you again for just what you're doing. Feel, technique, across the board, you do it. So before as I always say, fanboy out, I got to transition to a segment. I promise you, Tim and Herb, in all the interviews you've done, I guarantee you, over the years of you playing music, this little segment, you probably haven't had something quite like this. It's called Rapid Fire. Now we're gonna keep it PG, but we're gonna get really weird. It's fun.
Okay.
I love this. About to get
Do
weird.
I have to be rapid fire?
Yes, check it out. Let me explain.
Oh, man.
So check it out. So Dane and I, we get questions from our fans across the world, from like Finland to Fiji. They'll bring us questions. Say, hey, present this to your guest. There's no wrong answer. Dane and I have these 5 questions, and we're betting on you. You can go with the heart. You can say, this is what I want to pick, and we're going to bet on what we think you're going to say. And whoever gets closest to picking your personality of those 5 questions, the winner gets lunch provided by the loser. So we're betting on you. It's really fun. Okay.
Oh,
so
all right,
kind of a little wager on it. So again, no wrong answer.
You're
go with the heart.
You're betting on what I might answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
That's awesome.
gotcha.
So no wrong answer. You go with the heart. These 5 questions. Imagine past or present. Reality doesn't exist. It's just a Rorschach test of your personality. It's really cool. Okay.
Oh wow.
Make believe. So check this out. They're going back in time. They're saying, hey, you're known for being a great musician, your guitar work, your singing, your drumming, but they want you to make a cameo. In the 90s, it was huge for artists to be in movies. It was just a big thing. I think about some of these guys just showing up. So these 2 guys said, hey, we're making an action movie. We want you to be my co-host in this action movie mid-90s. There are 2 actors you can choose from to be like your co-host, as you can go with old school Van Damme or Seagal. You can co-host a movie with them. Who do you want to act with in this movie? It's like, Bloodsport 5 or Under Siege 4 or something like that, but you can pick your counterpart in this movie. Who would you choose?
De Niro.
Let's go. Dane, I actually had that. Dane, how about you?
No, I
Who
missed
got
that
De Niro? Anybody?
Yeah, I didn't have that. I actually had Seagal. I did. I really had you for Seagal. Kind of 90s, just top of the game. So, Dane, did you have Seagal?
For me, yeah. I mean, that's the action movie or... I mean, did you say action? Was it action or just anybody?
Action, action, just kind of a 90s thriller type thing,
For an action movie, then probably the thing that comes to mind is Arnold. His
I got you. Yeah.
He was big. He was I don't know, man.
No, you're good. No wrong answer, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll give you the 2 and you choose. It's one of the 2 you
But I like De Niro. I think he could be an action hero easy.
Okay, no problem. Dane, you had Seagal, right, Dane, on that one?
Yeah,
Dane?
yeah.
So check this out. Next question. So I know you have a love for classic music. Know that about you. I knew your love for Elvis and all that. So check this out. They're going to take you, who you're known as today, they're going to take you back to the mid-70s, okay? You're going to be transplanted back in time. You're an adult. You time travel. Love both of these bands, but they say, hey, Herb, Tim, we need you to fill in for one of these legendary drummers for the night because both of our drummers are sick. We're on tour, and you can pick. Love them both. You can fill in for a night for CCR, or you can fill in for the night for the Beatles. Who would you rather fill in for? Which one of those 2 for the night?
The Beatles.
Go. Had you. I did. Dane, how about you, Dane?
No, I had CCR.
Go. Okay.
I'm 0 for 2.
I love it.
Striking
I got
out
one right, Dane. Love it. So check this out. Next question. Obviously, again, you're known for being a great musician, not just drumming, but vocals, guitar. So we're going back to 1986. And both of these lead singers say, hey, we want you to fill in for the night and be our lead singer. We don't want you to drum. We want you to go Phil Collins and kind of sing a little bit.
Phil Collins, yeah.
So check it out. These 2 artists say, fill in for me. You can go with being the lead singer for Toto for the night or Jefferson Starship. Which one are we going with?
Toto.
Let's go. I'm 2 for 3. Let's go, Dane. How about you, man?
Oh, yeah. Toto on that.
You know why?
Got one right.
You know why? Because one of the first songs I remember being so impressed by was Hold the Line.
Yep. Let's go. I had you, man.
I thought that was the most amazing thing.
I got you.
I hear that nowadays. I'm like, oh my God, it's so it's cool. But I was blown away as a kid. I'm like, and nowadays I'm like, wow, I was knocked out by that.
I love it. So 2 more of the rapid fire. You're doing great, man. So I'm beating Dane by 1. Dane, you might come back here. So the next one, going back to 1993, we're transplanting back in generations. And they want you to make a musical score. We want you to produce a soundtrack, 12-track musical score for one of these 2 iconic movie franchises. You own it. You make the soundtrack. You can make the soundtrack for Terminator 2. Hasn't been made yet. Or you can make the soundtrack for Predator 2. Terminator 2, Predator 2. Which one are you going with? Tough one.
Predator was so cool, but I just have to say Terminator. That was
I had you.
That was just mind blowing.
I had you, man. Just I can hear it right now. Let's go. Dane, how about you, Dane? Which one do you have?
Oh yeah, I had Terminator 2. There's so much. It's kind of an adrenaline rush all the way through.
Oh yeah.
You can really put it all together.
And it was revolutionary. That concept, just.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. I can still hear it though. You hear it come in Terminator 2, dun, 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 and you just hear it. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah.
Good. So Dane, you might come back on this one, this last one. So they're making a movie about you. They're going to take your life, your story, your storied career as a musician, and you get to, you got the cool kind of like, you got the cool, shaved head, cool kind of thing going on. These two legendary actors who also do the shaved head thing say, hey, we want to play you in this upcoming movie. You can choose which guy you want to be you in this biopic of Herb. Your two choices, you can go with the iconic Jason Statham, or you can go with the legendary Vin Diesel to play you in this upcoming movie about your life. Which one you go with?
Well, I think probably I would say that Vin Diesel's probably got a little more of my demeanor,
Okay.
But I would want to be like Jason does. So
okay, it's your choice. Which one you go?
I'm going to pick Jason to make me look really cool and tough.
I love it. Dane, which one do you have, Dane?
Oh yeah, I Jason Statham for that reason.
Yeah, because I think he's the opposite of me, so I would want to go that way.
I love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's too nice and cool.
I love it. I had you for Statham, so I went 3 for 5. Dane, how'd you do? Did you have 2, Dane? Is that what you got?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Love it. So that's just a little thing we do. Our fans, I appreciate
that's
you.
Awesome.
It's just,
man.
Just call rapid fire, just to be silly, kind of a personality quest. So thanks for being a good sport, Dane. I'll give it back to you for that last segment, man. So
for this last segment, we call it open mic. We open the floor to our guests to maybe talk to some of our younger aspiring artists or athletes or anything that's aspiring to do something great in life. Maybe we ask our guests to maybe give them a words of wisdom or that they've learned throughout their career, and kind of leave them kind of some things to kind of build on. Are there some things that you've learned in your career that you can maybe want to pass on to that next generation?
It's good.
Well, yes, there's life is full of surprises. For me, my view is I'm always learning. So don't think you know the least bit about anything. And, as the saying is, the more you know, the more that you don't know anything. So I really love that. And also it definitely is, the golden rule is very hugely important. Be how you want to be treated. Be that person, do unto others as others would do unto you.
It's good. Yeah.
So I really think that's super important. Could solve a lot of things,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You kind of say this, Tim, and I look at some of the interviews we've had, and what you say is someone at your caliber, because there's no question you've had a great storied career, top of your game. People look at you. You are a musician, and how kind you are. Because I've watched a lot of your press, a lot of your interviews, and what's always kind of just stood out to us is, yes, you're great at your craft, but you really do care about others, and you want to make others, whether it's your Sticks Academy or Masterclass. I love it that even being as successful as you are, we see how much you want to help others, and we can't say enough thank yous that you really want to give back to the next generation. Dana and I always say the next generation of musicians and athletes is in good hands. People like you leading this genre, it's no wonder you're just cranking out great musicians, and we can't thank you enough for that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, well, let me tell you, it's really my wife's idea. Just because being self-taught, I often feel like I don't know how to teach anybody. There's no sheet that's sitting here that's like, hey, this is how you do it.
Right.
Because I didn't learn that way. And so, it was really her idea to force me to kind of dive into this stuff. And now I'm feeling a lot more comfortable. There's a lot of great teachers out there, so you can learn from anybody. And I think my angle is more about the why, like why we will play what we play as a drummer. I really think that's important, because if you know more about what you're trying to go for, then I can help get you there, or hopefully maybe you'll be able to just come up with it, and that feeling you want to put into the song or the
Wow.
music, you know?
Yes,
So
sir.
that why is really important.
I love
Yeah.
that. Well, Tim, I can't say enough again, because we always make it a point. We respect your time. As your journey continues and as you continue to evolve and put your show out online, this is a base we're happy to share as things. We follow you.
Yeah.
I sent you a little friend request. We'll be happy to share your videos and your posts. I share a lot of the things you do. So just know this is a place where we continue to promote you. Not that you need it because you have a great fan base, but this is another spot
No,
where
I
you have
appreciate
a
it. Yeah, man.
yes,
Any
sir.
help you
Yes,
can
sir.
do, it's great. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I've got
We,
stuff, like I said, mid-February, I'm starting that accelerator course, and it's a 4-week thing. So,
good.
we get together each weekend like this and go through it. We can go really deep into these concepts, since we
Love it.
have multiple weeks.
Yes,
We
sir.
don't have to be so worried about, shoot, time's running out, I better move on to double strokes now.
Right.
When maybe we're like deep into like, why do we play the cymbals this way, and when they come in, and why are we doing that?
Mm. Yes, sir.
So it's a
Well,
great
this
thing. It's going to be my first time, and I don't know when I'll ever do it again. I'm going to
well,
be on tour a lot this year, so um there's that.
well, we're blessed to have you. We can't say that we can't wait to be watching you. I know that we do about the tour. We're grateful to see that you're out
Yeah.
there, doing live music again.
Thank you.
Everything you do, we share it, man. We can't wait as you come close. You got some dates where
Absolutely.
you guys are coming close to us. We're going to try to make it. So hopefully we'll get to see you live a few times. Obviously, we'll be promoting your
Absolutely.
school. And please let it be known, Tim, as you continue to evolve and make your school bigger. Anytime you want to come back and maybe share something, teach something, this is an open invitation. Please make this the
Absolutely.
first of many, and
Oh,
we'd love to
awesome.
stay in touch if you
Thank
don't
you,
mind.
guys.
Okay?
Really
Sure.
appreciate it. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
you
Tim,
guys
it's
are
our
great, man.
I
This is
love
a
it,
great
Tim.
show.
Thank you,
Oh,
sir.
thank you.
It's our absolute honor. Bucket list item for me and Dane. We've talked about this. When we sat down into the show, we made it a point that we have a few people that we're
Yeah.
gonna make sure. But before we stop this, and you've always been on that list, so thank you for making the time to do this. We'll make sure
Yeah.
we stay in touch, and we'll get this out to the world very soon. Okay.
All
So
right. Yeah, let me know.
Absolutely.
Send me a note when it's ready, or a link or whatever. I'd love to check it out.
absolutely, sir. Well,
Excellent.
thank you again for your time. It's a true
Thank
honor.
you.
You take
Yeah.
care, and much love and best of luck on the road. Okay.
All
So
right. You too.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
take
having
care.
me.
Best of luck. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tim.
Okay. See you guys.
Take care. So Dane, I'm telling you, man, like there's nobody like Tim Herb, man. Like that guy is a musician's musician, just a master craftsman. What'd you think of it, man?
Yeah. I mean, whenever you anybody looks into an instrument, you obviously it's almost like your Frankenstein monster. You're just doing what they tell you. But with him, he said, I just played it from the heart. I
Mm.
played what I felt, and the results. I mean, you have that discipline, and you play from within yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
there's no ceiling for you. Like he said, now, even at this age, still learning, still doing and striving to be better. So it's a great thing to know that even that when others perceive that you're at the top of your game, you yourself know that, hey, I can still do more.
Mm. I think about Dane because we have grown up. You turned me on to Perfect Circle, to Primus. Like I have you to thank for that. As I've showed you many things growing up, we talked about that. A couple years gap between you and I, and you
Yeah.
taught me what real music was. And this is one of those artists where he is not a drummer; he's an artist. And I don't mean
Yeah.
that disrespectfully. All drummers are good. He is an artist. What he
Yeah.
brings to a band, no wonder Maynard loves him. No wonder Les has loved him. No wonder he
Yeah.
has been called on by so many people, because he is not just sitting behind a drum kit. He is bringing art with him, and that
Yeah.
there's no way else to explain it. If you haven't spent hours on hours on hours listening to their track and trying to follow him and geek out on it, as I said, when he's talking
Yeah.
about flams and he's talking about triplets and double snares, I'm eating this. I'm salivating this because what he's saying, he's talking about this is how you make a song so much more than just a song. Him,
Yeah.
Danny Carey has said it, and I think about again Carter, how I am making what I do on the drum kit another instrument. It's like it might as well have another guitar. What he's doing, he's making art.
Yeah.
So when the Peter Gabriel's what he mentioned, I'm telling you guys, if you want to listen to someone that is just a life changing drummer, you're not going to get better
Yeah.
than Tim Herb Alexander. So love it, man. So I don't know, Dan. I can't say enough. Amazing. Thank you, Tim. So on that note, Dan, the way he has brought and made the genre better than where he left it. He's one of those
Yeah,
guys that has left music better than where he found it. No question.
absolutely, absolutely. I can't wait to hear more. So
Yeah.
thank him for his time. I enjoyed it.
Love it. Well, Dan, on that note, that was a bucket list. I'm glad that he's on tour with me, or he's doing with Perfect Circle and Pacifier. He's on tour right now. You guys, again, if you're needing great music to listen to, the entire catalog that he's part of, Primus, his catalog, what he did with the early days at Perfect Circle, at Pacifier, you could spend weeks just listening to just their catalog. So
Yeah.
let me decompress. Let me stop fanboying out. It's hard to do. But Dane, we talked about in the days of making the show happen.
Yep.
This is one of those people that we wanted to get on the show.
Absolutely.
I feel like my bucket list is complete until it's not. So love it. Well, Dane, thank you again, man. I'm glad you and I got to tag team that one. You guys, we got many more episodes to come. The month is still strong. Got a lot more on ahead. But as Dane always say, on behalf of Tim and the Dane and Josh show, don't forget that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.
all right.